Hey, we're live. This is VUC.me, the IP Communications and VoIP community. We usually have a pre-roll and maybe we'll append it, or what's the opposite of append when you're doing it in the beginning? Anyway, we'll put it on that, and of course it'll be on the audio. But for the moment, I just want to thank Simwood.com. Simwood can turn you as a developer into a telco, believe it or not. Yes, I do believe that. Greenfield.tech. Greenfield.tech can turn your dreams into something that is not going to cost that much, but will be what you need and what you want. How am I doing so far, guys? ZipDX, the greatest conference bridge in the world, full color, full HD conference bridge. We've been with them since 2009 and we're still here. So what does that tell you? You know that we like them. We have a site on bluehost.com, and voxbone.com has all of our local rate dial-ins. I'm going to introduce everybody. First of all, our guest, who is Amit Rathore. Amit, welcome to the VUC.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Really pleased to have you. Next in my line is Mr. Andy Smith.
I want to move to the back of the queue. Good afternoon, everyone. Or good evening, or good morning.
You are at the back of the queue now. Okay, done. Mr. James Bodie.
Good evening, everybody.
Oh, nice voice, James. And Michael Grave, who's unfortunately has terrible troubles with his PC.
Well, you know, everybody has computer troubles once in a while.
But you sound
and it's
great.
a holiday, so I'm not sweating it. Yeah.
You sound great. How come you're not out with the Black Friday sales?
I am not a Black Friday kind of guy, but I am a black dog kind of guy, and there's one of those sitting beside me here. You may see here.
Well, have at it. All right. Why did I ask Amit Rathore to come with us to talk to us today? It's because I'm familiar with some of the things that some of the people who are involved with them, some of the platforms, these people are connected, and I know them from their investigative journalism. So, Amit, first of all, we generally ask people to introduce themselves. If you'd like to talk a little bit about who you are, where you're coming from, and how you got into this in whatever length you would like. You have up to an hour, but whatever you like as an intro, and then we'll start talking about Presscoin right after that.
Okay, sure. So let me start by saying, you know, I'm kind of a global citizen. I grew up in India and moved to the US, you know, at 22 years old. And so I have a perspective of you know, how America has been changing in the last several years, and I've been seeing, you know, things changing around the world just because of the travel and all of that. So, you know, what I want to say as who I am is really that, just a person that's seen a lot of change happen around the world, and you know, want to and I've met a lot of people that agree with this, and I've have talked a lot about these things. And you know, we generally speaking I guess we call them liberals, or you know, I don't know, these words are empty really. But what I've kind of come to the conclusion is that, you know, we talk a lot. I think it's just time for things to actually start happening and changing, and that can only happen when, you know, there are some tangible things for people to do. And so the ideas that we've all been agreeing with and talking about now need manifestation. And, you know, that manifestation is what I'm after. And, you know, my job and my passion and my work has become to find these people, bring them together, find the resources, find the, you know, 25 things that are needed for something to happen. And hopefully, if you bring all of these things, then luck also will come, you know, your way. So I guess that's kind of who I am. Beyond that, you know, I live in Silicon Valley. I've been in internet startups for a while. Most recently, I guess, a few years ago, sold a company to Staples, which, you know, is obviously in the same, I guess, battle that Amazon is waging against everybody else in the e-commerce space or in the commerce space. And you know, having tried to help, you know, and understanding deeply e-commerce and commerce, and I guess the internet and digital, you know, and then from that, having started a company to help modern publishers and well, legacy publishers as well, kind of stay relevant in today's world, in the new world today. That's really the post-Facebook world, if you will, which is, there was a time when the internet was truly open and, decentralized in the sense that spirit of that world. And today it really isn't. It's really sort of a bunch of platforms. And so that's what I mean when I say the post-Facebook world. And in that world, it's very difficult for a publisher or a news organization or anyone who is sort of in the advertising-driven space to make money. And that's caused a lot of problems in particularly the news arena and in the public's good sphere that journalism and reportage and generally speaking, the news media is meant to be. And that's caused a lot of obvious problems in our dialogue, in our ideology, in the way we talk with and communicate with and interact with and just think about each other. That's become a platform for a lot of populist, platforms, frankly. And that's something that's not, generally speaking, good for the world, right? I mean, we all are really one. It is one world, and I fundamentally fail to see the difference between people. Literally everyone's the same. I've met people all around the world, and where you're born is just a matter of chance, right? I mean, you had no role to play in it. So why make so much of it? And that's really how I see it. So now my job is to marry technology and this ideology and bring these people together and find resources to kind of let people be this thought that they are, this good, discussions that we've all had over the years. We can now be that in a sort of manifested way somewhere. So Presscoin is that manifestation of these ideas within the press journalism sphere, allowing people to come together and engage in a more civil way in order to seek the understanding that's needed, not just the yelling and screaming and whatever else is going on today, but actually understanding, that there's a complex set of issues here. It's not single dimensional. It's not, surface level or just, it's complex, it's deep, and, let's all come together to understand. And with understanding will come resolution. So that's what Presscoin is in a very, very high level.
Getting some echo here. Where's that coming from?
One.
Okay. Thank you, James, for muting. I see three different things here, Amit. I see freedom of the press, fake news amplified on social media. I see cryptocurrency, and I see the media conglomerates, which are much more visible in the United States, but I think are the same in every country, at least in the West. In the non-first world, it probably manifests itself more politically. Just to throw out an example, in North Korea, there's not a problem of freedom of the press, right? So let's not worry about that.
Right.
In the first world, though, we are supposed to have freedom of the press in most countries. I'm in France. These folks are in the UK. You're in the United States. Freedom of the press is supposed to exist. And yet, because the organs of the press are owned by big corporations, just to throw out an example that maybe everybody would understand, there's a show, I think it's NBC, right, who has Meet the Press every Sunday. Most people believe, and I think this is probably true, that there's almost nobody watching this. But the point is, Meet the Press is sponsored by the military, literally by the military-industrial complex. Literally. I mean, anyone who pays for that show is a weapons provider or something like that. So as a result, they have apologists on for that whole system. And I'm hoping that I understood that that's one of the things that Presscoin is about. I just wanted to say in parentheses that the fact that there's coin in Presscoin is a little confusing. So we have the financial aspect, we have the freedom of the press aspect, and then we have the social media, the compensation. Well, that's financial, I guess. So if you react to what I just said, maybe would be probably, there's enough there probably for you to already react to. And explain to us the difference between the investment part, or maybe just go with the investment part first, and then we'll go on to the other parts.
Sure. Yeah, so let's just start with, the idea of the freedom of the press, right? And I'll talk, I think that's where the idea of press and coin coming together really came from. Because freedom, for anybody in the world, is really, if you're obviously not in North Korea or someplace like that, is really freedom is financial freedom. Is there any other kind of freedom in the, say, the Western world, which qualifies as that state of being, right? I mean, if you're not financially independent, then how can you be independent in any way, right? Because you're always dependent on your very existence for survival. Because this universe is made of these realities, right? The universe is made of the reality that everything has a cost. And the cost is not necessarily the nominal cost that people can apply. You can stay in any hotel in the world, right? But there's a cost. You have to stay somewhere. You have to live somewhere, right? So these costs are real. And so when you want a free press, that system, that press system must be able to pay for itself. It's really, really simple. Otherwise, it's not free. Okay, so that's when we have to recognize and create a system that is self-sustaining and frankly profitable, and wildly profitable. Why not? As long as it is truly decentralized, it truly redistributes the value created to all the participants that A, created it, and B, benefited from it and need it. And frankly, together when they come, they create what we call Presscoin. So if we redistribute this wildly successful regenerative revenue stream that any organization needs to survive, or any organism needs to survive, then we can say that we have created something that's capable of standing alone on its own and be independent. The fall of journalism has been because of that fact. People are revenue driven, and therefore they will optimize for whatever it is that generates them more revenue. And so the modern media today is in the business of selling advertising. That's how they make money. And if that's how you make money, then you will optimize for more advertising. I would, if I was a businessman who was in the business of selling more advertising. That would be my job title, right? Do more that makes money. That's the job title of the guy who runs the media company, right? So if that's the case, and you're running off of the typical, capitalist shareholder value theory, then you've got a problem on your hands, because then you're selling more of this nonsense, which is just advertising driven. It's become a reality TV show. I open my, phone every morning or every time and it's just a string of, I don't know what you call it. Is that news? I mean, so this is the world we live in. So there are two problems here, right? The first is the fact that, there's the freedom of the press and the financial independence, and this revenue stream problem that's really caused, real journalism to collapse. But the second problem is that, and I think this is often the paralysis that comes from trying to solve all of it by saying, that, oh, we have to fix the media companies in order to fix the world. And I think that that's not true. I don't think we need to fix CNN and everyone else or whoever it is that we're talking about, because we don't need to fix 2-3 billion people at once. We don't need to do that. We only need to bring together the core 100 million people around the planet that are truly, understanding of what I'm saying and of what we've all spoken about so many times over the last 10, 15, 20 years, that they understand what this is all about. And then the light can start to shine from there. And let it be a moderated, smaller community that's, not Twitter, not as big as Facebook, and not this huge, humongous thing that it supposedly needs to be. No. Let it be an island of sanity and, people coming together, because we're really just people from all over the world and nothing else. And we see that in each other and in the planet. And in that pool of people, we build these new platforms, these new decentralized platforms, these new ways of communicating and collaborating and understanding and really connecting and being together in a sane way, and not in the Twitter, Facebook sort of way. So this is about doing several things. It's about creating new revenue streams in a new ecosystem, and it is about creating more than just what Facebook and Twitter and everything else does today, and all the other media companies do today, but actually taking people much deeper into the topics and providing them a space to collaborate and to see and to build and to take action and to actually, it's a whole stack. It's a full stack solution, which allows you to actually build, tangible, actual things that people can feel and do, not just chat about and yell about and tweet about, right? And only with each other perhaps, and live in that bubble. But now in a place where everyone is seeking to engage and understand. Does that help?
Yeah. Well, what I'm really interested in, Amit, is how you're actually going to achieve that. How you're going to make this work. Yeah. So I've read your white paper, and that really focuses on the reasons why you want to do this, and the problems that we have with media in the world today. But what I'm not quite so sure about is how you're actually going to make it better. So tell us about that.
Sure. Yeah. So there are several answers to that question, but let me start by saying that, first of all, nobody has all the answers, right? And because we're doing this in a decentralized sort of way, the very first thing that we're going to be doing, one of the very first things, is actually inviting everyone that's part of this platform to contribute ideas to help this new world. We literally are going to provide, this is decentralized, remember. So the communities that we are building in InSurge or on Next Election or on Zalori, these are all communities that come together around specific activities and specific needs and specific purposes, right? For instance, InSurge is a platform that comes together for deep investigative reporting and frankly, understanding. So such a platform, now to understand how will it be different, first we have to recognize that it has to be different from a platform on which, say, a reporter is talking about, let's say, the latest Hollywood gossip, right? Not a very complicated issue. Here's what happened, right? Versus the geopolitics of Syria or the problems of oil and moving away from so-called clean coal or whatever it is that we might discuss, right? And this is not a straightforward issue because it's connected to jobs and it's connected to security and it's connected to national interest and it's connected to, God knows how many other things. And, this is not something that is a, special interest topic, or to have real understanding. Nothing is a special interest topic because everything is connected, right? So when you read this type of reportage today on these sort of flat media, when I say flat media, it's very much like a newspaper. Right? A newspaper is a flat sheet of paper and it's two-dimensional. I mean, how much depth and understanding can you cram into a single plane of information, right? So when a new platform is being envisioned, we have to go back to, okay, Oracle brought us data and databases, right? Google said, oh, let's organize and create the world's information. We have to move from further. When today you go and do a Google search and say, is so-and-so president doing a good job? Do you see an answer? Right? So
I mean, I think we need to come to the actual financial model, because there's the investment part,
yes,
and then there's the retribution part.
Yeah. Now, let me come to that in just a second. Let me close this one by saying that the how here is that fundamentally the information model needs to be different. So InSurge is built around a Euclidean model, a Euclidean information model that builds on the fact that what we understand of anything is built on things called axioms. Axioms, which are observable facts, and one can't necessarily argue with them. For instance, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increases temperature. Right? This is an axiom, an observable fact. And that's also open to people being able to give their opinion around it, and you can see what people feel around it, and all of that information is tied to it. But axioms lead to insights, insight leads to actions, and this framework is actually embedded into your content and narrative that journalists are able to create and weave. And now consumers and readers are able to spin and navigate this world across these axes. You can go from axiom to axiom and understand what else is connected to what else, and what other topics and what domains interact and overlap. And this visualization and navigation and conversation is now possible on a platform. So that's an example of how things are different. Now, coming to the financial and the redistribution part, everything I just described is more than just the features of the platform, right? They're also the people that are actually using them, creating the content, doing the research, bringing the actual knowledge there. Other people who are actually engaging and reading and creating, all the various engagement activities that we just talked about. And when you monetize this through or through brand sponsorships or through sponsored panels or other kinds of polling exercises or data initiatives or forums or whatever it is that we all the things that are mentioned in the white paper, there's 15 plus different revenue streams. When all of this starts to kick in, the redistribution is automatically calculated based on everybody's contribution, and in the model that even recurring revenue is computed in this manner. So this redistribution is machine driven and is directly in commensurate with what each person contributed over a period of time. It also drives a Reddit-like karma point system, which is reputation driven, and now lets you sort of scale up and down your powers within this universe, so to speak, right? For moderation and for various things. And this again gives you further weights in the redistribution model. But it's all open. Anyone can join, anyone can be admitted, and the community decides, the decentralized community decides how this thing evolves. Does that make sense?
I thought maybe James was going to say something. Everybody is having a little bit of trouble. I mean, I think as people say these days, I feel you. I think I understand what the goal is. I'm not 100% clear on the mechanism yet, but I have some idea of it. Mm-hmm. And what you just said certainly gives a little bit more detail of how this is going to happen. I mean, if we could talk for a moment about Medium. I'm sure you're familiar with Medium and mm-hmm. how they have a mechanism for when people click to clap for your articles, right. You get a share of the revenue. So you get a share based on appreciation of the crowd. And I think that resembles a little bit what you just said, doesn't it?
Yes, it's an example. So what we're talking about is an open set of protocols that let people try these different mechanisms, crowdfunding, donate for this, follow this particular issue and say, I will offer a bounty for somebody that breaks this thing or whatever it is. And these different ways in which you can encourage people to bring revenue in, let they all flourish. Let they all come to the table and try them, be tried out. Let they all, find their, place in the world and provide the, the lubrication for whatever it is that it's supposed to do, right? And the platform facilitates. And so, and we remove ourselves as much as we can. Our goal is to take overall transaction fees, so-called revenue share, or the platform fees that let us, operate the company, take it down to a single-digit percent, even down to under 2% or even 1%. And how can we do this? Because today payments alone, payment processors charge you 2%, 2.5%, right? If you accept American Express, you can be charged up to 4%. So this is a huge tax that everyone is paying. Then there's all the other, foreign exchange fees and all these other things that if you want to create this global thing, and I want to say, I want to drive us out of, this friction. I want to be zero friction. I want to have 99% of revenue be redistributed. I can't do that unless I'm on a modern financial platform that is today enabled with crypto. Not just crypto, but today we've brought in at higher order and with partnership with CoinType, fiat interoperability. This is critical because, as you said, nobody understands crypto. And I say to the world, I don't want anyone to know crypto other than for the ICO and for the people who are investing and trading. After that's completed, the real world need never know that there's crypto involved because every single country and every single participant can operate in their local currency with no fees and in real time, thanks to the tech that we have built into this. So this is where the crypto and the financial piece and the reasons why all this kind comes together, and why it's called Presscoin, is sort of the reason why it is.
Let me ask you a question that's not actually related into what we're talking about, but it's an important question to me, which has to do with anonymity of reporters, because this is another problem, and maybe you're looking to solve this. I don't know. I'm not sure, and I'm asking for clarification here. So if there is an issue happening in a certain place, some of the platforms that might be involved with Presscoin are able to bring local citizen journalism to the front without risking their lives. Is there an element of that or not?
Yes. So here's the question, right? You have anonymity along with being able to get paid. These are the two things that, and security, obviously, right? You have to be safe. And given that, we have to bring all the three things together. So I don't claim to have all the answers, but there are elements of all these three things here. And blockchain and all of these pieces that we have here, crypto, for instance, allows for anonymity. I mean, it's up to you to which option you want. For example, if I need to take your Presscoin or any other coin, Bitcoin or anything else you may have, and let you use it in a store that only accepts rupees or dollars or wherever else you are in the world, and you may need to go through the payment rails, which may, depending on where you are, force you to go through KYC channels, know your customer channels. So when you interact in the real world, there are lines which you may or may not be aware exist. So if you're going to go that route, you're making a choice, right? But if you want to stay in the crypto world, you can. You can say, I will only go and shop in places that accept Bitcoin. I will only pay online or whatever it is, right? So it's a complex issue. But the point I'm trying to make is that the platform must allow for all these use cases, and you should be able to mix and match for your context and for where you are. For example, the same person who is actually out in, say, Uganda or some place in the world may actually spend their money elsewhere, or they may send their money elsewhere, right? So there's a variety of ways of handling this, but crypto lets you handle anonymity, which is the great part about it.
Okay, thanks for the answer to that, James. Well, I was about to read your question, James, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got anonymity, we've got a revenue stream, but I'm not sure exactly who's paying for what and who benefits from it, and how the system actually improves the quality of the media, because it's very, very easy to generate false news, particularly when you've got systems that guarantee your anonymity, and anybody can write any kind of malicious or bad news. So how does Presscoin help?
Nothing is ever published or accomplished in the system without approvals. You have to build a mechanism and a workflow that's open, decentralized, and unbiased, but is going through approvals and a system of trust.
Okay, well, so who does
in other words,
who does the approving?
Yeah, so all of us. So if you guys join right now, we all start with zero points, right? Zero karma points, let's say. We call them karma points, right? So you're all in there, and we initially say, so for example, Nafis, who's the head of InSurge and his so-called his existing teams and his existing network and all of our existing networks, we have to seed the systems from a starting point, right? So this seed is all the people that we slowly start to expose this to and who join and start to go through these ranks. That it's completely moderated, right? You have to earn your earn your way up the system, up the ranks. So, for example, now to answer your question, if I want to do a false news thing, I might join the system, but I don't have the rights to publish anything.
Okay, possibly a little like the editing system on Wikipedia?
Yes, absolutely. Wikipedia, Quora, all these open collaborative systems have processes and open decentralized ones that let you manage a large number of contributors and a large number of potentially malicious players in a way that still manages to keep the sanity in check.
Okay, so
right?
Wikipedia as a kind of a filtering mechanism for verifying facts, making sure that what goes up on Wikipedia, I think is pretty good.
No.
See, everybody will. We have to be transparent.
No. Wikipedia is literally a fascist system where people can, the editors are completely out of control.
Really?
But go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Here's my belief. The problem which happens is we get into these wars, right? So instead of getting into these wars, we say we think very meta, right? Okay, so we don't have a system in place. We have a system for systems. Right? So we need to figure out the system through the system that we build. Right? So that's the point. We have to be an evolutionary platform that lets us as a human consciousness be what we really want to be. And there has to be openness that allows for opinion like what you just said, versus somebody who says, I'm actually quite satisfied with Wikipedia or whatever it is, one way or the other. Let me
just state one of my problems with Wikipedia, because I have locked horns with editors. The editors have the power to remove articles, and I was involved, not me personally, but I know about an article that was published that used documents from a city archive, and because the person editing that part didn't like the article, they contested the facts that were documented facts coming out of an archive. So this is the perfect example of the opposite of fake news. The opposite of fake news. You have a source that is, you understand what I'm saying?
The problem is they're not transparent about it.
This is a problem with Wikipedia that makes, that exactly is why I would never give a dime, 1 cent to Wikipedia, because you have a system of edit. And by the way, I'm saying this not to talk about Wikipedia, but to talk about what you're talking about, which is we can't just have a board of people who are looking at this stuff and going, well, I don't like that because that doesn't agree with what I see, my worldview. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Unless you make that system transparent. So for example, if Wikipedia were to actually tell you that, out of their, 32 core editors, only 1 has approved it and 31 disagree with it, right? And of the audience and the next tier of people, this is the distribution of people that agree with this classification and don't agree with the classification, right? And then can submit a petition to actually change it and actually force a vote on it, and so on and so forth. Then you create a system that allows for this, at the same time allows for it to change very rapidly, right? This is all about transparency.
Okay, but the Wikipedia model is the editor just takes it off, and then you have to go contest and go through a whole process.
So, yes, but
that's not good.
Make that process also transparent, right? So if no one can just take it off, for example, you allow that to be seen.
I don't agree.
The system itself.
I don't agree that Wikipedia is transparent. Maybe what you want to do at Presscoin is or will be.
Yes.
But Wikipedia is not transparent. It's a weird system, and it's not something that I approve of totally, even though I use it all the time. But I don't support it financially, and I will not.
I fully understand. See, for example,
can you hear me? Sorry, guys. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Corrado. I'm from a client's connection. I'm at the customers with my mobile. I think the model that we are looking at is possibly one of those of the scientific journals. So peer review.
Correct.
Before getting published, instead of Wikipedia, you can publish anything and it gets taken out of after the fact. You can only publish when peers have reviewed and agree with what you've written or suggest amends or anything else. So some sort of collective crowdsource approval and information.
Yes, that's exactly right. So perhaps the moderation word is more suited for the commenting and pieces there, but this is a better peer review is a better word, which allows for collective consciousness to be manifested at scale. Because how do you scale this? How do you scale this globally at speed, right? How do you bring large volumes of communities on at once, as long as there's no system in place, that would be a chaotic thing to do. But now with this peer review system, anyone can join and go up through the ranks. And the point is, keep the transparency in the system. Keep the peer review metrics open. Keep the whole process and the workflow and who started what and how it happened on the blockchain. Let it be publicly auditable.
Yeah, if there's an audit trail of who approved, who disapproved, who suggested amendments, and so on, you can then, at a point, those that continually disapprove of something, they'll probably lose karma instead of the others that instead are agreeing through. And so numbers will coalesce and create karma for the publisher and everyone else.
Automatically. And we also will put it all on the blockchain to be publicly auditable. And even we have to think through when you change the algorithms, as they need to be changed from time to time, we will have to keep track of the fact that the algorithms themselves changed. And then, keep that audit as well. So it's a complex setup. Yeah.
So how much of this then really points it as being serious journalism? I mean, if you take something in point at the moment, the Flat Earth Society are trying to prove that the Earth is flat, and somebody's going to go up in a steam-powered rocket to 1,800 feet, which just sounds to me like he's waiting for a Darwin Award. But that is funny news, and it's real news. It's something that is going to happen. So it is genuine news. I find it amusing. Is that something that this sort of thing is suited for?
Absolutely. See, what we describe as fake or not fake or funny or not funny or whatever it is, all these different attributes are just attributes. And different people find them true and not true in different degrees. So we simply track it. We say, okay, here's something. And even fake or not fake, I don't know. Is it fake? So of course, some things are obviously and patently fake because they didn't happen, right? So they're not factual. But today, fake news has become, oh, I don't agree, it's fake news, right? Or whatever that has become, right? So that sort of thing has to now devolve into their actual attributes. Okay, I don't agree, or it's not factual, or, it's actually funny and not really true. And so all these different attributes will now allow you to see more clearly what you actually mean by that, right? And then you filter your world, according to what you're after. You're seeking understanding about something that just happened, and then you realize, oh, it's actually connected to 17 different things. And then you can actually filter further because you're interested more, let's say, in how it impacts energy, or perhaps you're looking for something funny and you're saying, okay, just show me all the funny things happening, And the point is that everything that gets surfaced has gone through peer review, right? It's got various attributes attached to it, which has also been peer reviewed. Each attribute has its own weights, and the people that weighted and allowed that to go through is also available for you to see. As long as we keep everything open and clearly auditable, then we have a chance of saying, this is all in the sunshine. This is the clear net. This is no dark net type of stuff going on here.
So yeah, powered by numbers, practically.
Basically, then we are allowing for further, this number drives everything. For example, imagine on next election, which is one of the platforms, imagine a system that brings together Politico and Yelp, around elections, where anyone in the world, let's say I'm in San Francisco and, there's local elections, right? It tells me what the local elections are, who's running, what their Yelp-like scorecards are, and what people think, and what the other issues, first-class issues, hashtags that actually behave as first-class issues, which can navigate around and find the other issues it's connected with, and what are the trending ones, and what people think, and how people are actually perceiving the incumbents in charge, how they're perceiving their jobs being done, and what the challengers are saying, and who they are, frankly, and when the elections are, and where it is in your locality. So you should go there, by the way, and just vote for that, right? And this stuff that's actually a real, activity, app, product, whatever you want to call it, is the new media company. And all the people that, come there to share and talk about various pieces and news and understanding whatever things, all this engagement that gets created is monetized and redistributed in the same exact way. that you can now do in all the other revenue streams as described in the white paper. So we take different use cases, different purposes, build that set of collaboration workspaces that needs, and then you let the numbers drive transparency and revenue share.
Okay, can we talk about the two aspects of the finance part? There's an investment aspect, and there's also a payment aspect. Now, I'm kind of challenging James Bodie because he's asking, what about the dollars? Well, they're not dollars. They're Bitcoin, Ethereum, and what? Is it Litecoin? Is that the third one? Go ahead, James.
You buy them, though. And so the Presscoin system has defined a framework which has, what, $100 million worth of value built into it?
They're raising 100 million news tokens, each valued at $1.
Indeed. And so somebody out there in the world is going to put dollars into the system, and using Presscoin, that value is going to be transferred to somebody who produces the media somewhere, I think.
Before that even gets started, can I just say that Presscoin is not a new cryptocurrency, right? You are using existing Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I think it's Litecoin. I don't know. Is that correct or not?
Let me explain. Bitcoin. So Presscoin is a new cryptocurrency, and it is going to be traded like Bitcoin is, and Litecoin and Dogecoin, and all the other coins. There's probably over 1,000 different tokens out there today. The way we are different, and let me explain what the investment opportunity is first. So a lot of times, in fact, I hazard a guess here, and I'd say about 99% plus ICOs, initial coin offerings that have been done so far, that have raised money through this process of issuing tokens, have done so by issuing what are called utility tokens. A utility token is like Bitcoin. You use it for some purpose. You use it to pay and store value, right? You transfer and store value. So that's a utility token. Any currency, frankly, is a utility token. It has a utility of storing and transferring value. But as an investor, you don't really get anything other than the fact that this utility will have some value that's going to be realized on a trading exchange. If you're investing in it, then your only upside is hoping that the value of that token goes up. That's your upside, you see? So if you invest in a currency that's out there today and is a utility token, your only hope is that it goes up because everybody believes it will go up on the exchange, and so everyone bids it up, right? Hope that happens. There's nothing else there, right? And the hope is that because it's being used in an ecosystem that they've created for it, it'll have liquidity. That's the hope, right? The difference here with Presscoin is that it is a unique hybrid token. It's a unique smart contract that we've built that allows us to reward our investors in the same way as an IPO process potentially rewards investors. In other words, the token is actually combined in a sense of it maps to an actual share, an equity share in the company, which then represents all the revenue and profit that the ecosystem generates, not just the trading capital gains that come from having the token go up in value. So as an investor, you now get to be potentially a long-term investor that understands that this is going to go up because the whole ecosystem is powering its revenue and its value. So it's an asset-backed token, not a fiat token, which is just because we say it's going to be used here. It's because we say so. That's what fiat means. This is an asset-backed token, giving a lot of value back to the investors.
Okay, so say I invest, I don't know, $1,000 in Presscoin. Where does that $1,000 go, and how do I realize value from that investment?
Okay, today, for example, when a company raises money from the public through an IPO process, and you invest $1,000 in said shares, the money goes to the company. They issue shares, which are then assigned to you and are put in your brokerage account, and that whole system, you can trade them in certain exchanges. And you realize the value because over time, people believe that that company is going to do well, and so they, buy it up, and the price goes up, and the company does indeed do well, and the results come, and it says, okay, great, now the company is worth a lot more, therefore the shares of the company are worth a lot more, right? Because the value of any company in the end is determined by its profits, right? Otherwise, there's no value. So in this world, and what we've done with Presscoin is we have captured the value of the actual company. For example, if Facebook were to issue tokens, and if they were not shares, then they're not backed by the revenues of the company. Facebook's shares get the appreciation of the revenue. The token does not. But in this case, it's both. The revenue does appreciate the value of the token because it is linked to the equity, and it's a token that's traded and therefore appreciates in its own way as a trade. So that's fundamentally different. And in this case, you would realize the value in the same way. So to come back to your question, you invest $1,000 today in Presscoin, you get issued tokens. These news tokens are what you keep in your crypto account today. You can choose to trade them off right away because people are trading it. You can keep it, you can just hold it for a month after the ICO and trade it away. Or you might decide that you really believe in this and you're going to hold it for a while. You're not going to trade it back and forth, right? You might just be a long-term investor. You're going to keep it for 10 years. And it'll appreciate in value for all the reasons that we discussed before. And you can sell it at any time. So it's exactly like a share in a sense, right? So investing in crypto is no different from investing in, in stocks in that sense, particularly with us because we're equity backed.
Okay. So that's that bit. That's kind of explained what happens to the investment. But I just want to clarify the linkage between the investor and the people who actually generate the media,
yes,
and moderate, and how they realize benefit out of the system.
Yes. Okay, so let's briefly talk about the people generating the media and so on and so forth, right? Like Nafiz, Dr. Nafiz Ahmad, when he writes a piece, and let's say it generates a bunch of revenue down, let's say over a period of time. But let's say his piece is $1,000, right? 1,000 UK pounds, let's say 1,000 pounds, right? And he needs to be credited the value that represents. So in real time, when it needs to be done, the system will deposit equivalent of Presscoin into his wallet.
Okay, so he's generated media which is popular. He gets paid for that in Presscoin.
Let me. That's a simplified version, but in general, it is not just something that they produce. It is because you may, for example, produce something, but then you might be peer reviewing a bunch of other things, and then you might be moderating a bunch of other stuff, and you might be contributing to a lot of other things. So at the end of the day, when you're being remunerated, and the computation will take into effect all of these things, and will decide, based on the actual revenues of the entire platform, not just your piece, because we have to figure out what is this linkage between, having certain types of content and certain engagement and the overall revenue. We need to bring in the whole here, figure out what is the total redistribution, and then it gets deposited in real time in Presscoin in any person's wallet in the world. But the point is, it's instantly tradable out into the local currencies or any currency in the world for free, basically for free at 0x foreign exchange rates because of our deeper integration into a new crypto platform called CoinType. So now this allows people anywhere to come on the platform, earn and just get remunerated as they contribute and do things, and earn in reputation as well as in money. And then it gets paid in Presscoin, but is instantly usable and transferable out in any currency. So this is quite unique in that sense as well, because we are building this infrastructure, deeply embedding it into these platforms. Like Uber, you simply get in the car, you get out, and the financial transaction just happens, right? Same way here. You do the things that everyone's doing. You're all engaging. We're doing the best we can. We're building this amazing island of amazingness, and everyone's just getting paid for it because it works like Uber. Yeah.
Can we talk about the mechanics, James? Can Can I intercede?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so the mechanics of this, if we look at, again, I'm going to use the model of Medium because Medium, go to medium.com, there is a member-only content, and so people are paying $5 a month, and they go there and they clap, and you get something from the author of the writing, get something. What is the mechanical reality of, and Nafid is a great example because I actually am aware of what he does. So I've listened to his podcast. I've read he's on Insurge Intelligence is on Medium. So it's possible to look at that. And as a paid subscriber of Medium, I assume, I haven't really looked at this carefully, but I think that what he's doing is probably in the membership area. So I understand that mechanism is what I'm trying to say. How do we understand the mechanism of this platform?
Sure.
How is that going to work? Okay.
Let me give you an example. The simplest example is crowdfunding, right? If you want, let's say Nafis, wants to do a piece on something that everyone's interested in, he might just say, sponsor me or fund me, some button there. And, again, like I said earlier, the platform will generate as its revenue a small percentage of all of these activities. It has to for its, upkeep. So this revenue then will be a part of that computation down the line. This is an example. But let me give you another example, a more complex one. On Next Election, which is a platform for, elections and, politicians and all of that stuff, we will offer, for instance, the ability for anyone to run a focus group. It's a paid focus group. And people who are taking it will get paid also, remember. Right? So you get now, it's not anonymous. Yes, it's in the sense that it's anybody and everybody who have been there with certain reputations and so on. But it's all sort of peer-reviewed and high quality. It's not just junk, And you get to pay for these responses as a person who's running the poll. I might be a corporate, I might be a political party, I might be anything I want. And again, it gets moderated. You can't just do some hate speech nonsense or whatever it is. Everything is going through the same peer review. We all like the stuff we're seeing. We're all engaging in it because it's meaningful dialogue. Because there's no right and wrong. I mean, it's not like I'm saying we should exclude anybody here, right? We should just be open about it, right? And all of this then is generating revenue. You can even charge one Presscoin for every response, or different responses can have different, and all this then gets shared back to the people, right? And whoever's responsible. So now it's not just the people who take the thing, but remember, let's say a focus group runs for a week, and then it generates articles, and then lots of engagement around that. You see, so it's a complex set of calculations that must occur. And I'd love for this to figure out a good egalitarian way for everyone to get value and actually get paid as well if they're producing real value for the world. And so that's how this works.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments before we move on to other things that are in my mind? Corrado, you're in some kind of Christmas holiday lighting scenario there. Plus, yeah.
Very pretty. Somewhere in the frozen north.
I don't know where he is. He's in Scotland.
Yeah.
I muted you because you were stealing the focus a couple of times. Where are you?
The place, yeah. I'm at Porch.
He's in an LTE challenged area, apparently.
No. That is on their Wi-Fi on a super fast broadband, but it's probably the mobile that is struggling to keep up. My initial doubt was about, despite peer review, sometimes some articles make it through, even if they shouldn't have, even on important scientific papers. How do we protect the platform from the influence of, I don't know, big players? There's a bit of brouhaha now going about, I don't know how much fake or true news is, Russia interfering in different ways. How is the system protected from big players in big numbers intervening and influencing the platform, trolling the platform using their sheer numbers?
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy answer, right? But here's how we're thinking about it. So even if you're not high reputation, you can mark things as, you can flag things. So, anyone can flag, I disagree with this, whatever, the end that it comes out as something published, even then you can disagree with it. So you can take the crowd sentiment of anything that does come through the process. That's number one. Number two is, again, even through the numbers, you have to go through the ranks of approvals and through the existing channels of reputation, right? So you have to find a mole in the system, which then will not be caught by the public later and said, these I disagree, right, with everything that's coming through this guy or this bunch of people, right? So the point is, if everything is transparent, then even the job of finding out these patterns of activity and all of that can be done by lots of players. Remember, it's an open platform. The data sets are available for lots of people to play with and add value to. And when those things come in, even developers can get paid. Oh, I added a new cool system that lets you see suspicious activity and so on and so forth, or whatever it is we just discussed. And Presscoin pays them for that value generated for it, right?
So
and eventually, yeah.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask, you were speaking of this platform and that you can say this or you can say that. What is the platform? Where is the physical platform? Where do we go? Yeah. I mean, it's not on Facebook. It's not on Twitter. So what is the, this is something that I have not seen, by the way. So where is the platform? Is it on presscoin.com?
So if you go to the white paper and you look through the platforms of the Presscoin economy, you'll see a list of a few platforms that are in development for launch phase. The first one, of course, is Nafiz's platform, Insurge, which is now going to move off of Medium onto a brand new Presscoin-powered, thing, and it's going to be at Insurge, either Insurge Intel or InsurgeIntelligence.com. It's, I think, InsurgeIntelligence.com, and we may even have a very rough beta up there, which people can start to play with and so on. We haven't done any. It's a very, very soft launch. We're just taking it live. Another platform that will be live by hopefully before the end of the year with a very interesting feature is called Next Election. NextElection.com will literally allow you to sort of start conversations around these elections-related news events in a very structured, poll-driven manner that will allow us to see what people think in specific ways about these issues. That we're just sort of launching this conversations feature and starting a conversation about what should the next election platform be, and allowing people to collaborate around that topic, as well as share interesting political news and ask specific questions around the world. So these things will start coming live one by one. Zalori is another platform that's all about local news, local business, local events.
Yeah, that certainly interests me as a local politician who was democratically elected on a couple of issues. That is interesting. I'm looking at it now, actually. Next Election. There's not a huge amount in there at this moment in time, is there?
I think things are underdeveloped at this moment. But what I'm getting from this, Amit, is that this is not one platform, but all the different platforms that are coming together. So it's kind of a federation, and federation is a word that James and everybody here knows very well, because we've done a lot with federations. So again, Nafiz is a perfect example because he's the person that I know about. Yeah. He has his platform, Insurge Intelligence, and so people may gravitate around that thing, that content. Mm-hmm. And there are many other things like Next Election, and these are all connected to Presscoin. So I think that's a new understanding that everybody needs to get. And it's pretty hard to explain, actually. I think I see it, but the average person that just comes into your white paper, it's not that clear. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to explain, and there's a lot to it. I think it's a very ambitious project. It's something we all, I believe, it's not I don't think that it's easy to solve this problem, right? This is a huge stab at solving the media monetization problems. I mean, it's a big statement. I mean, it's a bold new vision, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be iterative. We definitely need the support and the capital, and the openness and the risk appetite to put everything else on hold and do this just until we succeed. So that's why this is an open, decentralized platform, because the ideas need to come from everywhere. The people need to come from everywhere. This has to be extensible. We're seeing interest coming in from New Zealand and places all around the world that we hadn't even thought would suddenly reach out. News organizations and stuff that are saying, we'd love to get involved and we'd love to expand this thing that you're building and whatever it is, right? So it's going to be a very, very interesting new world. We have to build an alternative to Facebook and that whole ilk of platforms. Because those platforms are wonderful for what they are for. One is for search, Google's for search. You want us to find something. Facebook says they connect people. So okay, great. You go there and connect with people. That's wonderful. But it's not for news. And it's not for elections. And it's not for the things we're talking about. So you have to build the purposeful platforms and not just use the general purpose platforms, because they have no specific purpose. Facebook has no specific purpose. It cannot have. It has no depth to it. It is just to connect people. And yes, they talk about a lot of things, but that's what they do. They talk a lot about it. But to actually do it, you have to have an actual platform, right? And then you talk about it on Facebook. And we'll talk about it on Facebook, and we'll talk about it on Twitter, and we'll talk about it everywhere. But you actually do it. When you go to book a restaurant, you go to Open Table. You don't do it on Facebook. And then you say everybody, hey, I went to this great restaurant, here are the pictures, right? So that's how it works. You go elsewhere to do the things. So those things are missing. We don't have a place to discuss in a civil way all the things we're talking about. So we build them. We build them for those purposes. We build them for investigative reporting. We build them for elections. We build them for local news. We build them for citizens reporting. And frankly, I'm sick and tired of the news I see every day. So we build it for solutions journalism. We build it for positive news that's happening every day. And we see the world differently. And we come together.
I couldn't agree more. Let's look for last comments from everybody, because we've...
Oh, quick question.
Sure.
Amit, are you looking to make money out of this? Because
me personally or the world?
Well, you personally, the founders. Are the founders looking to make money out of Presscoin?
Somebody and everybody involved should make money, right? Because money is real. Money is what lubricates the world. Without money, nothing happens. Right. So to say that, is a completely altruistic, whatever project is false. I won't say it, because I want to attract the best of the best. I want to pay them the top salaries in the world. I want the best journalists to come. I want to pay people $1 million if I can a year, if they can provide value and make journalism a sexy profession again. So yes, we all want to make a lot of money. We want to make every news organization profitable again, so they can actually focus on news and not on attention-grabbing nonsense headlines that simply divide everybody, right? So absolutely, we want this to be a profitable venture. And that's why we're raising money from the public and issuing stock-based tokens that allow everyone to benefit from this, even the investors. So I certainly believe that there's a massive opportunity here from a business standpoint. I mean, where is the news platform? You tell me. What would you say is the news platform for the universe? What is it? Is it Facebook? Obviously not. Right? And is it Twitter? My mom doesn't know what it is. Never will. Right? Is it Medium? It's not complex enough for the issues that we're dealing with today. It's very simple platform. Very, very plain vanilla, two-dimensional. Not very different and imaginative, really. It's just newspaper online. Right? So we have to think deeper and more structured, more collaborative, more, we're engineers. Let's build something that's actually composed of real things and actually get people to exchange those ideas and information and bring that understanding on. So that's how we see the world.
James?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the initial, the ICO here. 7% of the tokens are made available to the founders to sell via offline channels. So the founders get 7% of the 100 million news tokens. And 3% of the tokens will
we get it to sell it. It's not that we get to keep it. We get to sell it out of the ICO process. So 90% of the tokens are going to be raised through the public. 7% are being raised through our private networks. In other words, I've put in personal cash in, and my friends have put personal cash in. and we're all committed to making this a reality.
Right.
So that's what that means. 7% is a lot of money that we are raising on our own reputations and our own friends and family and all the people that we know.
And then 3% of the tokens will be paid out towards the cost of sales, advertising, and promotion of the ICO.
Yes, as bonuses. So in other words, there's a lot of people that are helping with, various promotional activities. There are people out there who are building us T-shirts, and they're building us, they're just coming together to just do cool things. And we're just saying, here's bonus stuff for that sort of thing. We're just giving out some tokens, news tokens. It's not like they're making, bank or anything like that. This is just, encouraging the world to sort of come together and just, have a little bit of fun as well. I mean, we have to, have fun doing it. It can't be a sweatshop.
Okay. Well, I think this is one that we will watch with interest. See how you get on. It's certainly got a lot of buzz phrases kind of embedded in it.
You guys were investing in it, so that was a real pleasure to hear.
Anyone else? Final questions or comments? Andy?
Well, the only there are a couple of things here. I mean, frankly, I'm all for anything that gets rid of fake news. For the first time, I was in hospital recently, and for the first time, I bought 2 newspapers on consecutive days. And the quality of the journalism in there is just completely different to anything that you're going to find online. So if you're going to manage to reproduce journalism of that sort of quality, then I'm very much all for it and willing to pay for it. So, yeah, I wish you the very best of luck.
Appreciate that. And I'll be sure to convey that to Nafis, because I think that's a testament to the kind of stuff he does. So I'm very sure that we'll be able to fundamentally challenge any top news bureau, in a couple of years' time.
Okay. I think we've sealed it up at that point. Amit, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Well, my pleasure. This was a real pleasure.
People can go to Presscoin.com, where you will see links to who the people are behind it, who are pretty impressive, actually pretty impressive group, including Amit. And also you can see the white paper. Amit, I would say that it's interesting that you got an executive summary ready, and I just saw that today. I think it's probably just gone up online today. I would keep refining that, because it's extremely difficult to understand exactly what's going on with this, and there has to be a way to explain it in some manner that people can understand. But that's the only thing that I think is.
Yeah, short video coming out. I hope in the next 3-4 days. It's a short 2-minute explainer video and animation that kind of talks about this whole thing. Hopefully that'll help. Also, we're getting translations done in 4 other languages. So you'll soon see white papers and executive summaries in Russian, in Chinese, in Japanese, and Spanish. So all those languages will be up shortly.
Well, we'll try to help you add French to that. Let's keep in touch, Amit. You have my email, and we will continue to work together, hopefully. Okay?
Done. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Amit. And thank you, Sarah, everybody for participating in this. And we're going to shut off the public broadcast to the private, mature audiences version right now. Thank you.